And I'm going to say that this is not a sales training session. This is a workshop. If you are in attendance and you're looking for a silver bullet that will allow you to get rich quick, you're in the wrong place. Sales is an honorable profession and it takes some real effort. I always laugh, sometimes even outwardly, when somebody tells me that they wanted to get into sales because they wanted an easy way to make a living. I think that's pretty hilarious. What we're going to do here is we're going to throw out some topics, and um, a lot of times we will hearken back to something called the 5 steps to selling success. And step number 1 is credibility. Step number 2 is establishing rapport or making a friend. We probably won't need to even reference steps 3, 4, and 5, which would be discovery, recommendations, or what we call a proposal and closing. Steps 1 and 2 are kind of sort of what this whole thing is about, is because we need, let me be blunt. When all of you get a fish on the hook, you don't have any problems getting it into the boat. Okay? We don't need to talk about that. What we need to talk about is what's working and what's not working to get the fish on the hook. Because getting people out of cyberspace and onto the piano gallery floor or into a virtual appointment or some kind of an interaction is new to the industry. I've only been doing this for 13 years, and last time I checked, we introduced it to the industry in a wholesale fashion. So what we need to do is we need to take advantage of the coalition of all of you people that are getting leads from Direct Success Digital and find out from you how you feel about what is and is not working. And so if we hearken back to the 5 steps to selling success, that's because that's the lens that we look through things about. The rules of engagement are this. There's a little there's a little heart or a react button at the bottom of your screen. And if you click on that and you also click on the recognize hand gestures, you'll be able to raise your hand if there's a topic that you want to weigh in on. And once more, some of y'all have to weigh in on it because we're not going to be doing all the talking here. We want to learn from you, and we want you all to learn from each other. So let's see if mine's even working here. No?
Yeah, just keep it up. It'll work. Now, and if you touch the react button there, you can actually just react. Jack Klein factors.
There we go.
There's your hand is raised.
There's my hand.
There you go.
But my rules are different, Clyde.
Well, I see that Rick
if I
is
want
trying.
to talk, I'll put my hat on for the workshop. And then if I don't have my hat on, I'll just mute myself, which will be a welcome thing for most of you all. So the rules of engagement are raise your hand. I'll read the topics. They're going to be on the next slide anyhow, but think about this. Think about the things that you may want to question us about or the things that you want to offer to the entire coalition. Understand, we've got some of the best piano salespeople that have ever done it in this meeting. So we have high expectations, not from us, from you all, so that you can tell us what's been working and what hasn't been working and the things that you need. The first topic is going to be why even do a sales workshop. Second one is why use a CRM. Al's going to love that one. Why is social media important? Why measure your sales activity? That's the one Matt's going to help us out with.
Yeah.
See, I know some of these guys. How good is your script? That's the one where a lot of people are going to go, those things are just a waste of time. I don't like scripts. They sound terrible. What should your first reactions be? Using lead enrichment to your advantage. And what do you do if you don't get a response? So let's get on with the first topic. The first topic is Why do a sales workshop? I think the reason why I think we should be doing this is because if you have all of this talent and we're all connected, needing one specific thing, which is to turn cyberspace online leads into piano sales, that it would be a shame if we didn't share each other's experience and learn how to get better at this, because if we're going to
Have a
thrive
sales seminar. Oh,
and not just
that's
survive,
great.
then we have to do it as well as possible, because there's a whole online stream of revenue out there. So I think it'd be a shame if we didn't do it. Actually, I would like to. I would like to say that. Is there anybody else who would like to say anything about the value of all of us getting together? And if so, please raise your hand. I would like for you all to share any experiences that you have relative to self-examination. Now, every year at New Year's, a lot of people make a New Year's resolution. Sometimes it turns into a New Year's revolution. But you have to self-examine to decide, well, I got to quit smoking, I got to drink less, I got to lose weight, I got to work out, I got to be nicer to my significant other if I want to stay married, stuff like that. Just simple stuff like that. So raise your hand if you would like to talk about an experience either in your life or in your sales life where you were doing something, you self-examined and you changed something, and then you got a better result. Now it's time for me to quit talking.
I'd really like Al to weigh in on this and there he raised his hand. Good. Go ahead, Al.
One of the group meetings many years ago that I was involved in, and it all had to do with using a CRM solution as a way to document your customers and then how to follow up with them. And of course, that was back in the day when cyberspace really wasn't that important. People came into the store or called or emailed because of an ad on TV, whatever the deal was. However, once there was some form of a contact made with a prospect, at this one particular meeting came an idea which became gospel as to how to rank prospects. And it was from a level 1 to a level 4. And level 1 was at the bottom. Simply stated, a prospect at level 1 was a name and a contact that was acquired through some perhaps outreach program. Maybe you were at a county fair, maybe you were at a home show, but you were getting quote unquote leads, but that's all you really had. You didn't know much about them. Level 2, on the other hand, a prospect at level 2 was someone who you knew if they stepped in front of you, you knew their name, and you also had a sense of what their level of interest would be in a piano. So whether they came into the store, called you, whatever, but now you know who they are. There's a two-way communication. Level 3 was at a point where, given the discussions and the dialogues that you've had, and most likely have already had that prospect now into your store, or in this case, maybe an online meeting, whatever. But level 3, you would rank that prospect at level 3 if you were convinced that they are going to buy a piano. So now this is not just a warm lead, this is a hot lead. Level 4 is where you say and you're convinced that not only is this prospect going to buy a piano, this prospect is going to buy a piano from me. Now, notice none of that was necessarily time sensitive in the way in which those rankings were established. Rather, those rankings were established according to the relationship that was evolving with that particular prospect. And then every morning, when someone would come in and sit down at their desk and go to work, take a look at my level 4s and make a review. Where am I with my level 4s? Then work it that back down to level 3, down to level 2. But the point is, you had a contact priority in your CRM system from which you could direct your daily activities.
Thank you very much, Al, because the heat of a lead is important. If I could ask you all to please make sure you're on mute.
I got it. I'm muting them as they come on. I
Oh, okay.
muted Brandon, and I think he unmuted himself. But if you press the space bar, you can speak.
So the takeaway, Al, if I'm correct, is that when you went to work, you knew which leads were closer to being able to set an appointment or close.
Exactly.
And you went to work and you concentrated on those first. Now, let me go back to what we used to do. We used to, for years and years, I had a color coding system. It was stoplight system.
Okay, could I make one quick comment, Jack, along
Sure.
with the ranking? It also, what that ranking helped a salesperson do is if you went to your level 3 prospects, you would review what you know about that prospect. And the big question in your mind is, how do I elevate that prospect to a level 4? And so on and so forth.
Yeah,
So it was a pecking order.
what's the next right thing to do?
Yep.
And so, okay, anybody else that because being able to know who to follow up on first is kind of sort of important. Like I said, the stoplight system is how we used to do that with the colors. In the new system, it's going to be smarter and it's going to move them down the customer journey for you. But I don't want to turn this into a CRM session. So once more, back to the question is there anything from any of the rest of you that you would like to share where you self-examined an activity, changed it, and then got a better result? Anybody? Crickets. Well, I would like to share one then. At a company where we were doing lead generation, at the bottom of the form that people filled out, it had an area called comments. I am a proponent of question-based selling. We were getting about 15% of the people to fill out a comment based upon what it is that they may be interested in. So they went to the landing page, they clicked on the view inventory list, and they had to engage in consent marketing and give us permission to know who they are before they got the list. Okay, that was the psychology involved. Well, at the bottom of that form, it said comments, and I'm like, you know what? Salespeople need more ammo than this. So we took the word comments out because a light bulb came on at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I told my partner then the next day, change the word comments to what type of a piano would you be most interested in? Now that seems like a really small thing, right? But I was self-examining what we were offering up to our customer base, and I didn't like the result. So we changed it from comments to what type of a piano would you be most interested in? And now all of you who have been on the new program are seeing that 70% plus of the time. So we went from 15% to 70, sometimes 80% in some markets. Somebody will now give us the type of a piano that they are most interested in talking about. So I think that self-examination was extremely productive because now you all know more about the prospect than you ever did before. So that's my example. Anybody else on self-examination? It's not a favorite topic. People like to think they've got everything figured out. Hot flash, none of us have it all figured out, right? Anybody else on self-examination? Then we can go to why use a CRM, and is that the next one, Clyde? Isn't that
Yes.
you?
Yes, that's me. Well, yeah, and let me just open it up to you right away. And I want to give some folks some I don't know. I don't know if it's a shout out or a pat on the back or a green ribbon or a blue ribbon for being really good about using the CRM. And there's a few guys out there that really stand out as being very active. And Chris out there in Nashville is somebody that I can see is really active in making notes. Steve Murphy out there in Birmingham, Laura Cooper. She wasn't able to make it this morning, but I saw that she was very active this morning. Buddy Reiger. These folks are all very active in their CRM. They're some of the most active people in taking notes, and so I wanted to open it up to those guys and ask why are they so active and what are they finding valuable about it. And then I've got a follow-up question for the group. So I think the only one in here is Chris. Chris, can you unmute yourself and tell me why are you guys so active on the CRM right now? And you'll have to press your space bar to unmute.
Or you can find him and unmute him.
No, I can't. I can only. There he is. He's coming.
Hey, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just do take diligent notes. Indeed, I just want to make sure that I'm able to go back and look at something in case more conversations made. And I can go back and look at my notes. So yes, I do take diligent notes.
Yeah, you're one of the top note takers in there. I guess if that's all you have to say about it, I could tell my story, and Matt is here to confirm it if it's true or not. But sometimes Matt, I feel like he wanted to get you, and Matt, you're in here, so Matt, and some of you have heard this story, but Matt always asked about your disc Lavere customers. If you ask Matt, would you? Hey, I'm going down to the barbecue place, and I'm gonna order some barbecue sandwiches. Would you like onions on your barbecue sandwich? And Matt would go, wasn't there an onion farmer? And he was looking for a disc Lavere, and before you even he even said it, you knew that's what he was going to say. He was looking for a disc Lavere because that was the most important customer to us. So he's looking for a disc Lavere. And of course, you had 1,500 customers in your pipeline. And he just thought of the one, right? He doesn't know the name. You don't know the name. You just know onion. He's an onion farmer. Well, he caught you off guard, and you don't know anything else about him, but he's an onion farmer. And we used to use these things, and we'd have all of our stuff in there, and I'd have to go through and find it in a 3-ring binder. And Matt is probably the best 3-ring binder organizer that I know. He's got a shelf full of them behind him since 1979. And he could go to you could ask about a certain client, and he could pull the file off of the rack behind him and say, oh yeah.
Matt, did you know you were going to get roasted today?
He's not roasted. This is all true. You have to unmute yourself though.
No. Hey, Claudio. Yeah, the people often ask about my memory. I tell them it's my piano training. But before that, we had Al set us up with Customer Frontline, and we had that going. Of course, you got to keep copious notes to know, who you're selling it to and what's unique about that prospect and what they're hoping to find, so that we can anticipate their needs. So yes, having a CRM is crucial. A good memory helps.
When I got a CRM, that helped my memory, because then Matt would ask, hey, what about this customer? And then I could type onion in my CRM, and Farmer Frank would come up, and I'd say, he came in on this date, and I sent him this email on this date, and he opened it. And then I sent him this video. He hasn't opened that yet. I have my next outreach scheduled at this time, and I would say, do you think I should send him something today? And sometimes Matt would say, no, that's good. Or sometimes my favorite thing that he would say is like, this consignment came in and I've got some pictures of it. Send him this and see if he'll like this. And
Yeah, we
so,
played the match game.
yeah. And so it made us a partner, and Matt wasn't catching me off guard anymore because I had everything at the touch of a hand, and all of my work was on my computer, so I could just show him what I'd done or what I hadn't done. Right? And sometimes
Absolutely.
he would ask me, and I'd be like, Matt, I just hadn't I don't know what to send this person, and I haven't reached out in 3 months. And Matt would
And
come
that's
up
what
with an
Al was
idea.
talking about. How do we get someone off of third base and bring them home? How do we have a 3 PR prospect and make them a 4 PR prospect where you would be shocked if they didn't buy from you? And that's where we have to find something unique, something special, an irresistible offer, something we can create. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
Clyde, I have my hat on.
Oh, go, Jack. I didn't see you.
This is back to Chris. Okay, so Chris makes really great notes, and I think the value of the CRM. Number one, our memories aren't going to be. I don't need to keep it on since you let me talk. Uh, our memories are not going to be as good as something that documents all the past interactions. So there's a author that I love by the name of Matthew Kelly, and he's very pragmatic. He says, what you need to do is figure out the next right thing to do. That's what the CRM does. Is it paints a picture of all the entire evolution of the interactions between you and this prospect, so that you can figure out the next right thing to do. The next right thing to do is not always, okay, is today the day? I'll throw in some casters.
It's almost never that.
Okay. The next right thing to do is probably feed them something of value and deepen the relationship, because people buy from people that they like. And so that's all I wanted to say is I think that's a great value to a CRM, is to be able to go back and see what has happened, so you can figure out the next thing that you can do that isn't necessarily a closing question.
Before we move on to, I want to point out there's been a big update to the CRM, and I know that some of you were very active on it for a little while, and then maybe in between updates might have backed off from using it a little bit. And there's some of you that might even be using another CRM right now. I want to invite you back to Dash after this update, this last update that came on. We're at version 0.5 now. And I think we'll be at version 1 within the month, which is the most viable product, the MVP. So if you're not using it, I want to invite you to take a look at it again. There's been a really big improvement. It's living up to its name and moving instantaneously. So I wanted to throw that in there, even though we're not really. It's a plug for Dash again. So
Anybody else on the CRM before we go to the next topic, which is also Clyde's?
oh, well then we'll just move on.
No hands?
I don't see anybody.
Okay.
Why is
There's
social
a lot of
media-
pressure on us, isn't it?
Ha. Rick, come in.
You hear me?
Yep,
All right. Just back to the CRM.
sure.
Do we have anything that is now working on a phone?
No, it's close.
Okay.
We're getting really close.
All right. That was my only question. Sorry.
No problem.
Well, and Benjamin, I think Benjamin's in here, and he needs they have, like in LA, there's some rule that says that all salesmen have to work on an iPad. I mean, I don't know who made the rule, but they all go by it. And so we have to make things mobile friendly. The issue has been cleaning up what we've got before we put it into that other format, because when you make something mobile friendly, you do have to cut some things out to make it applicable. And so the building block is let's get what we got. We had to get all the old leads out of there so that Dash would actually dash now.
It's dashing.
It's
It's moving
dashing now.
instantaneously.
But yeah, hey, we need that too, Rick.
Yeah. Moving on. It's coming. Okay, social media. Man, I wish Laura was in here because there's some people that are really rocking it on social media right now. And I'll just be really brief with this. If you're not doing, and everybody can unmute or just thinking internally on this, but if I say the name Hugh Sung, is there anybody in here that doesn't know that name? And I guess it's a rhetorical question because you're all muted. But I'd venture to say that everybody knows who Hugh Sung is in the piano industry, and that's because he is somebody who's been very persistent in posting to different social media platforms. And Jack always gives me this. Clyde was the best at doing this, and you know, I did a good job in my local market, and all that I did with social media was provide some evidence for me to send to my customers. I wasn't trying to be a local a world global celebrity with social media. I just wanted to show people that I was a real person that lived in their neighborhood, that loved music, and that I was a nice guy. I wasn't the big bad wolf, and I wasn't going to take their data and sell it, somewhere. And social media is becoming the way that we market our brands, and it's becoming more and more important. And is Buddy in here? Buddy Reiger? Are you in here, Buddy?
I'm here.
Buddy and
Yes.
Joe are in here. But Buddy's been doing really great on social media, and he works for a company who has a sister company that is a music store. So can you tell us a little bit about how important your social media strategy is out there in Fort Pitt?
Sure. I'm going to just do it from the perspective of the customer. So sometimes when I go to a new restaurant, I'm not going to call the restaurant and say, hey, how's the food there? I'm going to maybe check out their Google reviews. And if I'm going to deeper dive, I'm going to go to their website and especially their social media because maybe there's a couple of dishes on there. So I think maybe we can all relate to this. We've done this in one way when shopping for a product or figuring out if we want to go to a place or an experience or travel somewhere. So if someone wants to buy a piano and they want to find out a little bit more of who they're going to buy the piano from, um, first of all, can I trust this place? What are other customers saying? What are the reviews like? They're going to go to the website. They're going to go to your Google listing, and they're going to check out your social media. But really, only if you give them the opportunity to do that. So there's links on our website to do that. And there's a lot of uh, arrows and directions that are filtering them there. The next thing I'll talk about is that it's almost like another way to present our store, but in a digital or virtual format. So we have video and we have photography of our product showcased on our social media pages, which include Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Um, and if you use even more than that, great. TikTok, um, or other platforms, X, fantastic. Use them all. But we find the most success with Instagram, Facebook, um, and YouTube as well. So even today, I just called a prospect and I said, hey, I wanted to let you know about this trade-in that we just got in. I was thinking of you and this might be a good fit. So, oh yeah, is that the one that you had on YouTube? Yeah, that popped up on my front page the other day.
Yeah.
The perfect example. It's already doing the work for me and already laying some of the groundwork. So I would just emphasize that we've all been there at like late at night, maybe on our phone, on the computer, and we're not shopping in a store. We're shopping online. We're starting to do that research. We're starting to figure out, do we want to buy this product? And as much information and opportunity you can give the customer, to be able to start exploring your product and getting to know you and doing those soft touches, the more you're establishing it so that when they walk in the store, they already sort of feel like there's a rapport with you. Um, so is that a good
That's great.
landing spot, Claude?
That you touched on the two main reasons why to use social media, and it's establishing credibility and building rapport. And Jack wants to talk again. Jack, we weren't supposed to talk too much.
I'm not going to.
Go ahead. I'm just
gonna
kidding.
say-
I always tease you, Jack. I'm
I
just kidding. Go
I
ahead.
just want to say that my 87-year-old mother uh, is checking out the reviews before she tries a new restaurant, before she goes to a different hair salon. I mean, it's not age specific. It's not a generational thing anymore. The tsunami of technology has hit. Everybody's there. And the other thing I want to do, Clyde, is hand it back to you, but I want you to hold up your sign. I want you to hold up your sign that you used in Instagram to let people know that a piano is not a commodity, but a new potential family member.
So yeah, I used this, and it was just to make me seem friendly, and it was an excuse to get my customer to take a picture in front of their new piano. And I've got doctors, I've got real estate agents, dance instructors, I've got piano instructors and studio owners, and it's a good opportunity to go to the next doctor that comes in, the next studio owner, to send them a link to my social media with another piano studio owner or another doctor, another attorney, another real estate agent who has purchased from me in the past, and just add another level of rapport, credibility to it. And I understand that it is difficult for some of us to get in the habit of posting to social media because I'm with you guys. We did not grow up with social media, buddy. I think you're younger than me, and I think you probably grew up with a telephone in your hand. Like I, and the new ones that are coming out, they're going to come in with Bluetooth attached to their ears, probably. But it's becoming more and more common for everyone to look online. And I understand that as business owners, a lot of times we don't spend our time on social media, so we discount that as not important.
Yeah, but Buddy is a lot younger than you, Clyde. That little gray thing in his hair, that he did that at the hair salon. That's to make him look more credible, right, Joe? He's like, I want to be like Joe, so give me some.
Well, while you're picking on me, I'll just follow up on that and just say, for Claude, yeah, that does provide proof of the customer experience, right? And you mentioned, yeah, our partner company, it's a guitar shop. I take all the cues that we're doing from them because they've established that cadence, and it works really well when someone can see the proof of how you take care of a customer, uh, their happy face, or just to again um, confirm that you are the expert or you're the friendliest person to talk to regarding pianos. It again helps to lay that groundwork.
And how often are y'all posting?
We're attempting to do something daily. Sometimes we're going every 2 to 3 days. Sometimes we may post twice a day. So it's all depending on what's coming up. And I will also just emphasize that it's important for the content to evolve, examine what's working, and get the temperature of the market, find out what the market wants, and start changing your objectives and your goals regarding what the market dictates.
I want to talk about working, and Gary Vanderchuck had an hour session on social media and what we should consider working. We shouldn't think of social media as delivering the sale. And if you don't know Gary V or Gary Vanderchuck, if you want to learn about social media and you can kind of stand some foul language, because he's probably he's a little foul, but he's got really, he's probably the standard bearer about when it comes to how to use social media as a business. And he was one of the guys behind the marketing strategy for the Savannah Bananas, if you've heard of them. He was the one that gave these guys their marketing strategy. Success for social media is not about delivering the sale. It is about brand identity. It is about marketing. It's about credibility and establishing rapport. It's not going to organically just hand you a brand new customer. It can sometimes, but if we're measuring how many people come through Facebook and say, "Oh, I want to buy a piano," that's not what it's for. It's a part of the whole package and strategy that we can't ignore anymore if we want to maintain relevancy. It's like back in the day, you had to be in the newspaper, you had to be in the yellow pages, you had to be on TV, or you had to be on a billboard. Social media is that today. The benefit though is it doesn't cost that much. So I just want to add that before we move on to the next topic, which is what is success? It's not delivering the sale. Jack, go.
Guy Kawasaki is a fantastic marketer. If you have not read his stuff about social media, he's got several books, and they're all very pragmatic. The thing is that hearkening back to the 5 steps to sales success, what social media does is it creates deeper credibility and it helps establish rapport. It lets people think, these guys aren't so bad, or this gal's not so bad, or this company's not so bad. I think I can trust being a friend with them, and I think I'll go ahead and take the next step and even talk to them.
Yeah. Very good. Jack.
So now we're on to why measure your sales activity. And I am just thrilled that Matt Perez is in here because Matt and I have had a meeting of the minds on this for many, many moons. We've talked about sometimes you put the cart before the horse. Sales are a result of quality activity. Managing sales without managing sales activity is an iniquity. It doesn't work. You only have sales if you have quality activity first. And so one of the things that I've tried to tell new salespeople just coming into the profession, they want to sell. They want to sell better. Okay, the first thing that you have to do is within the first year of your existence, you have to figure out, to get to your goals, what your numbers are. So I'm going to share my numbers, and then I'm going to let you all talk about how you manage your own sales activity. My numbers are 25, 5, 2, and 1. 25 outbound attempts, be they texts, phone calls, emails, a text with a link to an article that I wrote, whatever it is. It takes 25 outbound attempts for me to make 5 contacts, 5 people that are willing to engage. Out of the 5, I'm going to disqualify some of them. The timing's not right. They've already purchased something. They're a do-it-yourselfer, whatever it is. 2 of those 5 will be a meaningful conversation. I have a 70% closing ratio, so we'll round it down to 1. Every other person that I talk to and have a meaningful conversation and give a presentation to will become a client. So if I want 2 more clients, this is pretty simple math. You can do it without a calculator. 25, 5, 2, and 1. I need to make 50 outbound attempts, and then I'll get 2 more clients. Okay, those are my numbers. The scary thing is that of all of the people in the piano industry that are selling pianos and putting music into people's lives, I almost never run into anybody who knows their sales numbers, because the cart is in front of the horse. They're focusing on the sale instead of the things that you need to do to get to the sale. So now I'm going to throw it out to y'all. Does anybody know their numbers? Does anybody have some kind of a method that you know to manage yourselves and your outbound reaches to where you get to where you want to go?
I see Matt chomping at the bit.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to measure ourselves. As it's been said, things that get measured get done. And if we can't measure it, we can't improve it. So this is focusing on the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, focusing on those 20 activities that will yield us 80% of our profits. So we know what those activities are, focusing on calling teachers who are our most precious resource, keeping our relationships with them, uh, staying in touch with prospects, also calling interior designers, churches, uh, centers of influence, uh, calling people just to invite them to a concert, not necessarily to a major event. So the entire um relationships are built not on a sales focused approach, but on the value of making music. So my philosophy that I remind myself is basically 5 or 6 questions. What is it that I'm selling? Who am I selling it to? And what do they really want? So I want to be able to articulate the value of making music because that's going to differentiate me from someone else. And I love talking about the benefits of music. It's always the benefits. And whether it's a family coming in to look for a piano for their child, you'll find me encouraging the parents and grandparents to join in as well. Uh, so, who am I selling it to? And what do they really want? What's their demographic? What's their psychographic? What are their dreams and their goals? How can I anticipate their needs? I ask myself, do they know what they're missing? How can I arouse their desire? How can I move them? And we've all heard the expression, but on the bench. We want them to experience that joy, that thrill of making music. We want to make them smile and laugh. If we can do that, we're already on second base. Other questions, how can I present myself as a trusted advisor? And Buddy, you opened up to me. We can communicate that love of music and that trustworthiness, that fidelity that we have through social media and through posting. Uh, how how can I create demand? How can I close this sale? So those are all things that I question, when I'm greeting a customer, and it's good to be reminded, as you were talking about, Jack, in the very beginning. You know, you know, what do you do? Have you ever had a situation where you think, "How could I have done it better?" I do it every day. There's not a day goes by, even when I sell a sale. I ask, my colleague, I said, Joe, do you think
Was there room to, I think I could have sold him a bigger
I,
one.
yeah,
He
did I
says,
undersell him? I didn't show him, you know, I did good, better, best. So if we continue, or, gosh darn it, I forgot to ask him to buy. What happened? I didn't bring him to the table. Um, so yeah, there's always room for improvement. I think if we have that approach, then we all will become better. But knowing the numbers, if I said, if you don't measure it, you can't improve it. That's Peter Drucker. So we have a a teaching called the 522, which Al, you know this teaching, it's been in the industry. And so basically you measure results at the end of the day. A phone call or a text that's answered, a phone call that's answered is 1 point. Uh, a sale is 10 points. Um, and a demo is 4 points. So you try to get 20 points. And at the end of the day, you see if you try to get at least over 10, but if you don't, the next day you try to make up for what you didn't do. And that's how it works.
Jack, go ahead and unmute yourself. I think there was an echo, so I muted you.
Thank you, Matt. I think you need your own course.
I keep telling him that he could
He
sell
should write. He
a
should write.
sales course.
I mean, he just off the cuff just starts quoting people because he's educated, and that's the thing is that is education is self-examination. And if you read a book, you may not agree with everything in the book, but if it's worth reading and you take some nuggets out of it, whether it's audio, we can do that now. If you don't like to actually pick up a book and read it, you can use a Kindle. You can highlight things on a Kindle. So to keep things going, anybody else on the numbers? Okay, I'm going to tell a story to start this. And it's a greatest hit story. It will not take long, but I had a friend, a dear friend, who sometimes I love and sometimes I'm mad at him because he's the reason I got into the piano industry. Um, he was invited, or I guess I should say promoted to be the directing manager at Steinway Hall over in Europe in a large city. And when he got there, what he found was that there was no consistency to the greeting or the approach that any of the salespeople there had. They just kind of shot from the hip. They didn't believe in scripts. And he noticed that they spent a lot of time approaching people in different manners, and they didn't really refine their approach or try to come up with one that worked best. And so he gave them a script to which they rebelled, a massive mutiny. Scripts! I don't care how you guys do it in the United States of America. Scripts don't work over here. We can't use a script. That sounds like you're reading something. That'll turn people off. That's not how we do things over here. He said, well, and then he recited the script that he wanted them to use. They didn't know he was reciting it. He said, I just gave you a script. Oh, it didn't sound like one. Well, that's because if you're not doing it right, it will sound like a script. What you need to do is you need to take something and own it, your own personality. We're not trying to program personality or a sense of humor or anything like that. But how do you get better at something if you don't have an A to compare the B to? So if you don't practice in front of the mirror, if you don't role play with the other people there, this probably isn't a part of your culture, and culture eats strategy for breakfast. So think about this. You need to work with each other so that everybody there gets better. Scripts are not voodoo. The thing is, if you're afraid to give a strict script because you're afraid it's going to sound like you're reading it, then you're not doing it right. Their sales increased. After a couple of months, guess what? They came into his office and said, hey, I changed this. And when they get to this point, what do you think about this script? So they went from hating them to not only using them, but running them by him. Okay, scripts are not voodoo. Role playing is not voodoo. Every time you are in front of a prospect, you are on stage. That's why so many of you entertainers are good salespeople. So, anybody who doesn't like scripts, please raise your hand and tell us why. Oh, another question. We just sent some scripts out. Is anybody using them? Anybody? Do you remember that we sent them to you? Hello? Crickets?
Uh, I
Nobody
see.
raised their
I
hand.
see
Nobody
some
wants to talk
smiling.
about scripts?
I see some
Nobody?
smiling faces, and then I see other people who have turned off their cameras. Jack,
Did they leave? Did I
I
run them
don't.
off?
I don't know.
I probably did. Won't be the first time, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Does anybody have any thoughts, feelings, or opinions, pro or con, on scripts? Because if I can't defend it, I need to know. I never thought this was going to happen.
Here, Matt has something to say. I can.
Yeah, we have to have a script, and as you said, it needs to flow. It just needs to come out naturally. Just when someone walks in the door, you start off with a smile, you give them a warm handshake, uh, and I'm so glad you came in. You know, introduce yourself and what's their name, and have you been here before? Let me show you around. Just that right there, and not saying, "May I help you?" That's it reminded me of Gerber's book, The E-Myth, the book from the 90s, talked about innovation, the way to do things, and then quantification, making sure they're counted, who came in, what did we sell, what was the margin, what was closing ratio, and then orchestration, which is everybody does it the same way. Everybody, just like at McDonald's. And so yeah, you've motivated me to, I'm going to be writing scripts for my team.
Let me tell you something, because okay, so for those of you who don't know, I worked with Matt at Valley Keyboards before I came with Jack, and Matt has a script. Um, and even if it's in your mind, it's still a script,
Oh yeah,
right? And
and it's evolving.
and it is evolving. And as he hears something good from today, he'll use it. He'll put it in his pocket, and what he will say is, "We got to be like Batman and have the utility belt and be ready to pull out things at every time." So I have two really great coaches in this meeting with me today that have influenced my sales career immensely. But every time that somebody walked into Valley Keyboards, it was the same thing. And I would even use some of Matt's tonality when I was at Valley Keyboards, because it was so darn effective. It would just break down barriers, and it was just very nice. And he was, hello and welcome. Have you ever been here before? Well, we're Valley Keyboards, and we've been here for over 40 years. We believe that every life needs music. Let me show you around. This is our recital hall. Our recital hall was named after Miss Miller, which was Matt's teacher, his first piano teacher. Have you ever seen the world's finest reproducing piano? I'm sorry, Steinway people who are in the meeting today. I apologize, but this is our script, and you can have your own script there for you guys. But it was always the same, and it was always about the experience of music. And so I can be a testament to the fact that this helped break down barriers. And it was so good that as I would give demos from time to time, people were so in their emotions that they would be moved to tears during the demo. And, and I'm not anything special, but it's just that we took it out of being a process of a transaction to being an experience. And that's what sells things, is if you can move people into their emotions. So
So
Matt does have scripts.
back to the 5 steps to selling success. What did that script do for them? Number one, it spoke to credibility. 40 years we've been here. A recital hall in honor of my past teacher. That speaks to, this is a person that I think I could be a friend with. Until you can establish credibility And until you establish some rapport and make a friend, they don't care what you know until they know that you care and that they feel like you are worth having in their life as the concierge. And this is what Clyde and Tony's not in here today, but he does it too. This is what some of the great piano salespeople do, is they, by the end of the transaction, they've purchased a $150,000 piano. You feel like they haven't even sold them anything, that they've just been having a visit.
Yeah.
Because it's all about emotions that are backed up with logic, not lumber, not units, not dollar bills. So the script needs to take care of the first 2 steps to the 5 steps to selling success process. Before we move on, does anybody have an approach that they use every single time that they would like to share? Joe Sr. or Carol?
I'll do it.
Hey.
So I was here. I just didn't want you to see me. So I agree, scripts are helpful, but I don't always use it as like a one big script. I actually will sprinkle it through the conversation, throughout the conversation with the prospects, because I do find that they have limited attention span. If I tell them everything up front, they will not remember. And I will also repeat some of the most important things a few times throughout the conversation. So It's not performing the script from A to Z, you know, from beginning to end in one shot. It's actually cutting into small bite-sized pieces that hopefully they remember.
Agreed.
And getting them to talk is pretty important, right, Carol?
Absolutely. I can give you an example. The other day, I had a customer who got to the showroom first before her partner. And she said, before my partner gets here, I just want to let you know I'm very price conscious, which means she wants to say cheap. Which also tells me that her partner will likely want to spend more money. So I just had to bite my tongue and let her work out that, you know, price shopping. And she literally was honing in on pianos that are under $10,000. Meanwhile, I'm reading the body language of her partner, you know, and I'll just inch her up a price point every time I go back to them. What about this? How about comparing this? So instead of spending under $10,000, they spent closer to 40 by the end of it. So it's just that you have to wait. Yeah. You have to bite your time and kind of let them work it out amongst themselves. So I got lucky in the sense that most people came. Yeah.
Yeah. Look for the openings, right?
Yeah. And you know, and I knew that her partner was actually very patient and also waiting. So there was no point of me jumping ahead and asking, what about buying this one? It was just basically, well, wouldn't this look great? If you have a lot of wood in your home, wouldn't this piano look wonderful in your home? So sort of, you know, I'll change the sequence of the script depending on the person.
Very good.
I think
Knows the dream.
I think that one of the things over the years was drummed into me, you have to be upfront with the folks to begin, and your first couple of minutes with them determines if they're going to like you or not. From the moment I started doing this 48 years ago. So you have a little bit of everybody has a script, how they introduce themselves and welcome. And it varies. And you should vary it with your personality. But one of the things we did here, we have a poster we developed on the wall when we first started back with Steinway in 17. And the first line reads, our job here is to make your piano purchasing experience the most enjoyable shopping experience you have ever had. And I get people that look at that, and we get a lot of people that come from other places where that's not the case, thankfully. And we get a lot of compliments about that or comments about that, even from folks that don't buy. It's on all of our literature. It's on everything we do. It's just something else to try to set yourself apart. And, you know, I think within the first minute and a half, we all buy stuff. You ever go buy a car and in about 2 minutes, you want to kill the guy? you want to drive over with more cars. It's just what it is. If you don't set yourself apart where they feel off the bat you're at least somewhat genuine. I mean, not going to fall in love with you in a minute and a half, but they let the guard down. You see them let the guard down a little bit. And once they do that, then it's your job to go into the educating of the pianos, the models, and talking about that things. And you learn it, and everybody changes it over the years. I've changed and added, but the basic premise of what you do is always got to be their friend quickly as possible.
Company with the most friends wins.
That's Jack's saying, our saying.
All right. Well, to be respectful of everybody's time, we should move through the next couple of things and let you all go back to what you do for a living, which is, I mean, the time that you spend examining your sales activities is not time that is wasted, because it can affect, and especially you younger people. You listen to Joe Senior. And remember, just the takeaway is this. It's kind of like in Nashville when you're writing a song, they say, get to the hook. Okay. Your first job is to make them like where they're at and the person they're talking to. It's that simple. If you go, okay, so what are we looking for today? You might as well take a 357 out and shoot yourself in the foot, because it's going to be the same result. Okay. Let them feel good about where they are and who you are before you go into discovery or fact finding, or you're getting out of order. And I will argue with anybody who says chronological order of topics is not important, but that's another meeting. So thank you, Joe. First 2 minutes is critical. And remember, guys, you are on stage, so make them love you. Clyde, take over.
What should your first interactions be? I don't want to take a lot of time on this, but I will say that we're always want to be a call first type of company, right? Because calls are the best way to let your personality come through. And texting and emails seems to be a comfort level for a lot of salespeople, and I understand that seems to be a way that we can reach out quickly. And there's nothing wrong with reaching out in those ways. But if there's a phone number available, I think we always want to reach out via phone number. And Jack has provided some really great scripts for your phone outreaches and for your message, your text message and your emails. They should all be pretty much the same. And this is the section that Jack's given me, but I'm gonna throw it back to him. Jack, pretend you're reaching out to me as a piano prospect for the first time.
Am I calling you on the phone?
Calling me on the phone.
Hey, Clyde, thank you for your interest in an upright piano. I just wanted to let you know that at Prestige Pianos, we are the friendliest and most dependable place to get great piano information. I have a couple of questions that I would like to ask so that I can serve you best. Do you have 5 minutes? I promise to be brief.
What if it's a message?
If it's a message, then you say, would you please call me back at this number or text me? I have a couple of very brief questions to ask you so that I may be able to serve you best.
Okay, I'm going to throw this back to the and if it's an email, it's going to sound similar, and if it's a text message, it's going to sound similar. And if any of you have ever sat through any of our trainings, guess what? It's always the same. Jack has been giving me that same outline for 7 years now, since I've known him, or 6 years. That's the first way he told me to reach out. And that is the way that he's still telling people to reach out. And he doesn't fumble on it. He doesn't choke on it. He did not know that I was about to ask him to do it. And it just rolls off his tongue because he does it all the time. And that's how our interactions should be, very practiced in that way, that they come off in the same way every single time. And hopefully we're making enough calls that those calls sound the same. Go, Jack.
Premature selling is your worst enemy. It's a deal killer. Until you get them to like where you are and who you are, nothing you say really matters. We see so many people that will recite an entire paragraph. If you just ask them whether or not you can ask them a couple of questions, you end it with a question. All we're trying to accomplish is engagement. We're not trying to sell anything yet. We just want somebody to talk to. That's
Anybody
simple.
want to? Anybody else want to try on your first interaction? What's your phone interaction sound like? Do you have something that has been working for you on your first interaction that you think might be a little bit different than what we've offered right now? Anything that hasn't worked? Is there somebody that has some suggestions on what not to do?
We got a lot of those.
Rick, come
I
on,
can tell you
Rick.
for sure what not to do.
Tell me about it, Rick. You're on.
Not so much that. I just think one of the fears of scripts that I have with my guys on the floor is they stop listening. And the most important thing in sales is listening. So if they're just plowing through a script, I got to get all this out. That's a concern to me in a script. The way Carol said it, kind of like sprinkling it in and listening for the key questions and then saying, oh, okay, let me get that. Let me answer this. But if we just keep talking, because as salespeople, we love to talk and we have to listen more. So that's all.
I've got a few great books. There's one called Question Based Selling, and Jack, that's Jack's book, right? Question Based Selling. And
Yeah,
there's another one,
Thomas Freeze. Yeah.
Thomas Freeze, and then I just had another one that I thought was really great that I just read on Amazon. I have to look it up really quick. Not question behind the question. That was a suggestion.
Well, while you're looking that up, let me just say, Rick, if the script turns into a speech, it's not a good script. It's got to be brief. All you're trying to do is get them to understand they are at a very special place and that you are a very willing concierge, and then you try to get them to talking. So,
Right.
so if it's a long script, I would reject it.
Right. And I think the other thing too is definitely keeping the salespeople up and excited. So doing the same thing over and over again can cause them to be monotone and dull. Aislinn is very good at being up. You've seen her, and she's just so excited about the whole process, and she sucks them in with that. And I think sometimes doing sales, we're like, oh, here we go again. Here's another one. Let me go through this again. And we get stuck in that, and we need to be up every time. And it's hard. It's hard if you've had the last 5 customers and no sales or whatever. It's hard to be up, but you have to convince yourself to be up every single time.
You know what, Coach? I'm going to say, how many times has Elton John had to perform the same song,
Right.
and act like he's still excited to do it? You are on stage when you are selling.
Yes.
Bring your energy or stay to the house. This is not easy. If it was easy, anybody could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That book that I was talking about, really great if you hadn't read it, Questions That Sell. And the reason that I like this one is because it actually has questions in there. It's not a theory book. It's a list of some really great questions that you can use to get to some of the motivations behind why somebody's doing something. And nobody, you never ask the question why, because why will shut somebody down right away. You try to change it to a what question or a how question to try to dig deeper. This is a little bit sales second year level stuff, right? But that's a really good book. If you
Well,
hadn't read
and using tie down questions, that's a whole nother session. Let's not go there.
I just
But
wanted to give them that book because it's a great resource.
it is. Well, let's go to the last two things really quick. We've been in here for an hour and 13 minutes, and we got to let these people go back to work. But we only have two more topics. Even if we just get you to think about them on your own, I think it's important. Tony Thomas is not in here, but Clyde, do you remember the story that I told you about why we started lead enrichment?
Well, I didn't know it was about Tony, but I do remember that you had a sales associate that was out selling everybody, and you got to ask him how he was doing it. And when you examined his sales process, what he was doing was going in and he was stalking everybody. Basically, he was looking at
Stalking.
he was looking at their Facebook. He was Googling them and trying to find out as
LinkedIn,
much about them
Instagram,
as he
all that.
could.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
And the person that he used as an example was an author. So he went in and he read some crib notes. And when he made his first interaction with this lady who was an author and he knew some of her books, she was like, "Oh, wow."
Making a
Lead
friend.
enrichment is good ammo, right, Clyde?
I use it all the time because if I could find somebody on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, well, I've got a business Facebook and I've got a business Instagram. I'm going to try to get them an invitation to that thing. I'm going to try to befriend them so that they can get to know me. Even if I don't see if they make that connection, I'm trying to reach them and I'm trying to create some influence and I'm trying to build credibility. I'm trying to get my arms around them any way that I can. And so, if I can get any insight as to who they are, I think I was on a call with somebody the other day and our lead enrichment found out he was looking for a C7 and we found out that he owned a studio and he had recorded some pretty,
Oh, that was up in Owens,
yeah.
neck of the woods in Chicagoland.
Yep. So he had recorded some artists there. So it looked like a really good lead. But we saw his studio and now we could think of other ways that we can outreach to them because Chicago has their own recording studio and they could talk about, the type of mixers that they have. They could talk about other things that have to do with recording, talk about, hey, well, if you just a whole other avenue of outreach that even Matt taught me to do. This is like, how can we plan our next engagement so that in that next engagement we can go, oh, by the way, that was Matt's favorite words. He called it the Columbo close. Oh, by the way,
One more thing.
one more thing. Sorry, that's what it was.
Yeah,
One more thing.
I love it.
So that's how I used lead enrichment. And let's move on so we can.
Yeah, finally topic. What if you don't get a response? What happened? Oh, so many people have said, none of these people want to talk to me. So Clyde, what's going on when people don't respond?
Every single person who fills out a lead for a piano, they fantasize about owning a piano. They want it. That's why they filled out a lead. They were interested in the subject. 100% of them, or at least 99, 98% of them. Maybe somebody filled it out of I don't know what. But they want a piano. And a percentage of those people are going to purchase one. And so I wrote an article not too long ago saying we have to provide the fantasy fodder for them. We've got to provide them something to fuel the flames of that fantasy of owning a piano. And we might not see that they're opening that email that they're looking at that video that we sent, or that they are clicking on to our social media. We don't always see that, but a lot of times they are. And just like Buddy said today, you'll reach out and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that. I just saw that video. Is it that one?" They're doing it. So the main takeaway from this whole slide is, if you're not getting a response, don't lose hope. Continue to reach out. These are people who want a piano. When I was with Matt, it was funny. We reach out until they call the police, till they say stop. And even after that, we considered reaching out again, you know? So we just continue.
So to close this topic, the best way to get a response is to ask a question. And don't go into the sales mode. Just try to get engagement. The thing is that what Clyde did, back to numbers, when he was selling pianos, that allowed him to put things into context, was he paid attention to numbers. You know, I'm going to ask a question, and then we'll close this. Then we'll wrap this thing up. Anybody who wants to answer, how many times do you think you should reach out to a lead before you call it dead?
Nah. I'm interested. You'll have to unmute yourselves, Matt.
I closed the disc clavier after the 22nd attempt,
There you
just
go.
about a week ago.
Anybody else?
Yeah, as many as it takes.
What's an average number, Mark?
Till they hang up the phone on you.
All right.
Till they
They'll,
call the
Anybody
they'll
else?
cops.
let they'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're receptive and will keep talking, keep going.
Yep. Agreed. Rick?
And sometimes it's just a touch base, a warm fuzzy, but as long as they're talking to you, there's an opportunity. So keep going.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, until they tell you to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. But don't hound them. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's all about, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it, but most of the time it is what you say. And if you're always trying to close them, you will scare them off quicker than if you're just giving them value added and making them like you more and more and deepen the relationship. So let me throw the numbers at you, Clyde.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say,
I
think I was going to say what you were going to say.
Finish my sentence. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, it used to be when I started, the number that they gave me was that the average was about 8 times that you would need to reach out to a client before you would make a close, and that the average salesman would probably stop at about 3. Well, that's not the case anymore by any means. And the fact that Matt gave me a number of about 22 should show you the professionalism that Matt has, is that he does, in fact, count his numbers. And it is important. And it's a pillar of success to make sure that you're doing that. And what I could see inside of the CRM when I was with Matt is how many times I was reaching out to a client, and I don't want to scare any of you.
Scare them.
But the average time was about 15, and I was getting some people closed at about 30 reaches. So to Mark and Rick's point is, you don't stop, because you know, there's people that I still have on my outreach list that I still nurture today. We don't have time, or else I'd share another story of somebody that I just gave an outreach to today, or yesterday, that bought a $95,000 piano from me. And I think it was important to maintain that relationship. So So, by the way, Matt, if you're going to be at that banquet tonight, or said somebody, Juan Zamora will be there tonight. So you're on mute. Okay, but
Okay, so to wrap this thing up, I would like to say thank you all for being here. I think we should do this quarterly, and I think that we've covered a lot of fundamentals here. The the takeaway that I hope that some of you will get is that you play the game to the best of your ability, and you never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. At the end of the day, look at your numbers. Until the end of the day comes and you're actually mentally fatigued. If you're not, you haven't worked hard enough, because sales is hard work. That's when you sit down and you examine things, either at the end of the day or before the next day starts. But sales is an honorable profession, and it can be fun when you're figuring out things that work better than the way you used to do them. If you're walking through life thinking you've got all the answers, then I guess you're just smarter than all the rest of us, because we don't. Take it home, Clyde.
thank you all for coming. I appreciate everyone's input. I wish everybody would share some of their success stories. I think we learned so much from your guys' experience as well. And so next time, come ready for us to pick on you. Until then, my sign off is happy selling, everyone.